There are moments in life when you feel lost, confused, and unsure of what step to take next. You ask for guidance, you make dua, but no clear answer seems to come. No voice speaks, no sign appears the way you expect it. Yet somehow things begin to change. Directions shift, doors close, new paths open, and later, when you look back, you realize you were being guided all along. Sometimes you think your life is moving in a straight line, that you have it figured out, that you know exactly where you are going, what you want, and how everything is supposed to unfold. You plan carefully, you make decisions based on logic, and you feel confident that this is the direction meant for you. But then suddenly something shifts. A plan falls apart. A relationship changes. An opportunity disappears without warning. Something you were so sure about slips out of your hands, and at that moment it feels like confusion has taken over your life. What you don't realize in that moment is that what feels like disruption is actually direction. Life begins to move in ways you never intended, but those movements are not random. There are moments when you are forced to pause, when things don't work out no matter how much effort you put in, when doors that you expected to remain open suddenly shut without explanation. And naturally the heart reacts with disappointment, sometimes even frustration, because the expectation was something different. But hidden within that shift is something far greater than what was originally planned. You might look at your situation and think you have lost something valuable, but in reality, you are being moved away from something that was not meant for you. Sometimes what we chase is not what we need, and what we need is not what we would ever choose for ourselves. So the path changes, not because you are being rejected, but because you are being protected from something you cannot yet see. There are moments when you miss opportunities, and at first it feels like failure. You wonder why others seem to progress while you are stuck or delayed. But later, when time passes and clarity comes, you begin to understand that the timing was never wrong. It was perfectly arranged. What was delayed was not denied. What was removed was not punishment. What was redirected was not loss. Even the changes that break your plans are shaping your future in ways you could never imagine in that moment. A job you didn't get leads you to a place that builds your character. A relationship that ended saves you from a path that would have drained your heart. A rejection that hurt opens doors you never thought were possible. And slowly, without even noticing, your direction changes, not through your own control, but through a wisdom far greater than your understanding. You start to see that every sudden shift carries meaning. Nothing moves without purpose. Even when life feels unstable, even when nothing seems predictable, there is a pattern forming beneath the surface. And the more you look back, the more you realize that the detours were actually the real path all along, guiding you away from harm and towards something better aligned with your destiny. There are moments in life when you become deeply attached to a certain outcome. You want something so badly that you begin to believe your happiness depends on it. You make plans around it, you imagine your future with it, and you start to feel incomplete without it. You convince yourself that this is exactly what is meant for you, and anything else would not make sense. But then, something happens that stops it from coming your way. A door closes, an opportunity disappears, a situation changes unexpectedly, and what you thought was essential is suddenly taken away. At first, it feels like loss. The heart struggles to accept it. You keep thinking about what could have been, what should have been, and why things did not work out the way you wanted. There is confusion, sometimes even sadness, because your understanding of happiness was attached to something specific. But what you do not see in that moment is that this closed door is not empty, it is full of protection. Not every open door is meant for you to walk through. Some doors are open only to test your attachment, not your destiny. And when a door closes in a way you cannot control, it is often because walking through it would have led you to something harmful, something that would have taken away your peace, your faith, or your direction in life. You may not recognize the danger in the beginning because human understanding is limited to what is visible, while wisdom lies in what is unseen. Sometimes you are stopped from entering a place you thought was good for you, only to later realize it would have broken you in ways you could not imagine. A job you did not get may have carried stress that would have destroyed your balance. A relationship that ended may have been filled with struggles you would have never been able to handle. A path that was blocked may have led to confusion that would have taken you away from who you are meant to become. And yet, in the moment of closure, It feels like rejection. The heart questions, the mind doubts, and patience is tested. But slowly, as time passes, clarity begins to unfold. You start noticing that what was taken away made space for something better, something more aligned, something more peaceful. You realize that your understanding of what is good was limited, while the wisdom guiding your life was far beyond your perception. There are situations where you begged for something, made sincere effort, and still it did not come your way. And later, when you look back, you quietly understand that if it had been granted, it would have led to struggle instead of ease. That rejection was not punishment, it was prevention. That closure was not a setback, it was a shield. And even though it was difficult to accept at the time, it was exactly what kept you safe from a future you were not meant to experience. There are moments in life when everything outside seems unclear, yet something inside you remains calm for no logical reason. You may be standing at a crossroads, unsure of which direction to take, surrounded by confusion, pressure, and unanswered questions. But deep within your heart, there is a quiet feeling that pulls you toward one choice and away from another. It is not loud, it is not dramatic, it does not come with explanations or signs that everyone else can see, yet it is there, steady and persistent, shaping your decisions in ways you do not fully understand at the time. You might question it, you might try to override it with logic, advice from others, or external expectations. You might say to yourself that you should choose what looks better on paper, what seems more practical, what others would approve of. But even then, that inner calm or discomfort does not fully go away. When something is right for you, there is often a strange sense of ease, even if the situation is difficult. And when something is not meant for you, there is often an uneasiness, even if everything appears perfect on the surface. Many times, people ignore this inner feeling because it does not align with what they desire. They push forward into situations that look appealing but feel heavy inside. Later, they find themselves facing stress, regret, or emotional exhaustion, wondering how something that looked so good became so difficult. And in contrast, there are moments when a path seems uncertain or even uncomfortable at first, but the heart feels settled in it. And over time, that path brings unexpected peace and stability. This sense of inner alignment is not random. It is not just emotion or coincidence. It is often the quiet guidance that leads you away from what is harmful and toward what is beneficial, even when you cannot see the full picture. It works in a way that does not depend on external validation. It does not need explanations to others. It simply exists as a form of direction that becomes clearer only when you pay attention to it. There are times when you meet people and immediately feel comfortable, even without knowing them deeply. And there are times when everything about a situation seems perfect, but your heart resists it without clear reason. Later experiences often reveal why that feeling existed in the first place. What felt peaceful leads to growth and ease, and what felt unsettled often brings complications that you did not anticipate. As life continues, you begin to notice patterns. The choices where you felt calm inside tend to bring better outcomes, even if they were uncertain at the beginning. And the choices where you ignored that inner discomfort often lead to lessons that come through difficulty. Slowly, without anyone teaching you directly, you begin to understand that there is a form of guidance placed within you that speaks without words, directs without force, and leads without needing recognition from the world around you. There are times in life when you go through experiences that shake you, break your expectations, and force you into situations you never imagined for yourself. You may lose something important, face delays that frustrate you, or go through phases where nothing seems to move forward no matter how hard you try. In those moments, it feels like life has slowed down for no reason or even turned against you. You start questioning why things are not happening the way you planned, why effort is not bringing results, and why ease seems so far away. But often what feels like hardship in the moment is actually a redirection happening beneath the surface. Life has a way of slowing you down when you are heading towards something that may not be right for you. It interrupts your pace not to punish you, but to realign you. Sometimes you are moving too fast towards something that looks good from a distance but carries difficulty within it, and the only way to stop that momentum is through a form of delay or discomfort that forces you to pause and rethink your direction. There are experiences that feel painful at first but later reveal wisdom that you could not have understood otherwise. A loss that felt unbearable may have saved you from a future filled with regret. A failure that hurt your confidence may have pushed you to develop strength you did not know you needed. A phase of loneliness may have given you clarity about yourself that constant distractions would have never allowed you to discover. In the moment, none of it makes sense, but over time, the pattern becomes clearer. Sometimes hardship is not about what is taken away, but about what is being built within you. Patience is developed through waiting. Strength is formed through struggle. Awareness grows through disappointment. If everything came easily, there would be no depth, no growth, no transformation. The difficult moments shape parts of your character that comfort could never create. There are also situations where you are removed from certain paths, relationships, or environments that you were deeply attached to. At that time, it feels like something valuable has been lost. But later you realize that those very things were holding you back from becoming who you were meant to be. The separation, the delay, the difficulty, all of it begins to make sense when you see how your life changed after it. Even emotional pain carries direction within it. It pushes you to reflect, to reconsider, to slow down and observe what you were ignoring before. It removes distractions that were clouding your judgment and forces you into a space where you have no choice but to grow. And while growth through ease is comfortable, growth through hardship is deeper and more lasting. There are moments when you think you are stuck, but in reality, you are being prepared. You think you are delayed, but in truth, you are being positioned. You think something is going wrong, but beneath all of that, your path is being adjusted in ways you cannot immediately understand. There are people who enter your life at different stages, and each one carries a role that is often only understood much later. Some come with comfort, some with challenge, some with lessons, and some with distance. At first, it feels like every person is meant to stay forever, especially those you connect with deeply or rely on emotionally. You begin to build expectations around them, you include them in your plans, and you imagine continuity in that relationship. But life does not always maintain the same connections in the same form, and people begin to shift, change, or completely leave your life in ways that feel sudden and difficult to accept. When someone leaves, it often feels like a gap is created that cannot be filled. The mind keeps revisiting memories, questioning what went wrong, what could have been done differently, or why things had to end the way they did. There is emotional attachment that makes separation feel heavier than it appears on the surface. But over time, when emotions settle and clarity begins to form, you start to notice that not every presence was meant to last, and not every absence is a loss in the way it initially feels. Some people are placed in your life not to stay permanently, but to guide you towards something within yourself. They may reveal your strengths, expose your weaknesses, or show you patterns in your behavior that you were unaware of. Some teach you patience through difficulty, others teach you gratitude through kindness, and some teach you boundaries through pain. Each interaction carries a form of guidance, even if it is not immediately visible while you are experiencing it. There are also people whose departure feels painful at first, but later becomes a source of protection. You may not understand it when the relationship ends, but as time passes, you begin to see situations that you were being saved from, conflicts that would have escalated, emotional stress that would have deepened, or distractions that would have pulled you away from your purpose. What felt like loss was actually a form of prevention, redirecting you away from something that would not have been healthy for your journey. At the same time, there are people who come into your life unexpectedly and bring a sense of ease or clarity that you did not have before. They may not stay long, but their presence shifts your thinking, opens your perspective, or helps you move forward in ways you were struggling with alone. Even brief connections can leave lasting impact, shaping your understanding of life and relationships in subtle but meaningful ways. As you move through different experiences with people, you begin to realize that not all connections are meant to be permanent, but all of them are meaningful in some way. Some are meant to support your growth, some are meant to challenge your thinking, and some are meant to guide you away from paths that are not suitable for you. Even silence, distance, and separation carry their own form of direction, shaping your emotional and spiritual understanding. Without needing explanation in the moment. In the end, life begins to make sense only when you look at it with reflection instead of reaction. What once felt like confusion slowly reveals itself as guidance. What once felt like loss begins to show itself as protection. What once felt like delay becomes preparation. And what once felt like silence turns out to be direction in its purest form. You realize that not every closed door was rejection, but redirection away from what was not meant for you. Not every hardship was punishment, but shaping of your character and protection from unseen harm. Not every inner feeling was random, but a quiet signal guiding you toward what aligns with your path. Not every person who left was a loss, but a step toward clarity, growth, and emotional strength. When you connect all these moments together, you begin to see a pattern that was always present, even when you could not understand it. Life was never without meaning, even in its most difficult phases. Every experience, every shift, every silence was part of a greater design that was unfolding step by step, guiding you without needing words, signs, or explanations that you could recognize in the moment.